I am but a counterfeit daughter of the noble house, fully aware of my true nature since the moment of my birth. At that time, I was merely a child, incapable of seeking my biological parents. The instant I laid eyes upon the genuine heiress, I knew that it was time for me to depart. Before I could lament the impending end of my idle existence, I made another startling discovery. The family that raised the true heiress happens to be the esteemed residence of the current Grand Princess. Am I truly the daughter of the Grand Princess? It appears that the authentic heiress has experienced a change of heart. My sincerest apologies, but I must politely decline. The esteemed house of the minister bears the surname Liu, and I am known as Liu Dai. My biological father is said to be surnamed Chu, and the true heiress of the Chu family is called Xu Jiao. Now, each has returned to their rightful place. The genuine heiress has reverted to the Liu surname, now known as Liu Yanjiao. As for me, while I currently have no definitive conclusion, I have a premonition that I will eventually be called Xu Dai. For now, however, I am still Liu Dai. At this moment, within the main hall of the minister's residence, a debate unfolds regarding whether I should stay or depart. Father, mother, perhaps it would be best for my sister to remain, the true heiress suggested, her brow slightly furrowed, exuding an air of vulnerability. Her lips, naturally tinted, and her almond-shaped eyes, glistening with unshed tears, occasionally coughed delicately, covering her mouth with a handkerchief, embodying the fragility of a willow swaying in the breeze. Clad in a finely embroidered satin short jacket and a layered skirt, adorned with jewels and a double-sided embroidered handkerchief, her attire reflected the latest fashion trends of the capital, distinct from that of a rustic girl. Affluent daughters and officials' daughters in the capital almost universally possessed several such outfits. The minister's wife, my mother, or rather, my adoptive mother, watched her cough with concern, voicing her sympathy on my behalf. My dear daughter, you have suffered so. How is it that your health has deteriorated so? Were you mistreated by that family? It breaks my heart. Liu Yanjiao lowered her eyelids, concealing her emotions, and softly replied, Mother, I am quite well. It is simply that my adoptive parents are farmers and naturally cannot compare to the minister's residence or to my sister. Upon finishing her statement, she cast a cryptic glance in my direction. I felt perplexed. Why was she dragging me into this? Liu Yanjiao bore a striking resemblance to the late brother of Lu Furen, my adoptive mother. It is said that nephews resemble their uncles, and naturally, nieces are no exception. Lu Furen's brother had once been a well-known handsome gentleman in the capital, thus Liu Yanjiao's beauty was to be expected. Compared to her uncle, Liu Yanjiao's features were softened with a feminine touch, rendering her a true beauty. This was precisely why Lu Furen recognized Liu Yanjiao as her biological daughter at first sight, while I, her daughter raised by her side for 16 years, seemed to escape her consideration. Perhaps it was due to Liu Yanjiao's resemblance to her uncle, while I did not share such traits. Or perhaps it was because I lacked the docility expected of a proper daughter. Lu Furen glanced between her biological daughter and her adopted daughter, her frown deepening. Where have you been wandering? Dressing so inappropriately, she exclaimed. Are you trying to drive your father and me to despair? Her tone of exasperation caused Liu Yanjiao's expression to shift, though Lu Furen remained oblivious. Today is a momentous occasion for Jiao Heir's return. Instead of staying in the residence to welcome her sister, you disguise yourself as a boy and gallivant about. Lu Chengxiang's face grew cold. Rebellious daughter. Do you not recognize your errors? I felt indifferent, yet quickly responded, Daughter acknowledges her mistakes. With an emotionless tone, Lu Chengxiang was momentarily taken aback. Could it be that her rebellious daughter was acting strangely today due to Jiao Heir's return? Clearing his throat, he continued, Since Jiao Heir has returned, you shall henceforth be true sisters. And you, Yanjiao, the three of you shall. Father, when I returned, my sister's family inquired when they could meet her. Liu Yanjiao eagerly interrupted. I widened my eyes and directly asked, Did you not just say you wanted me to stay? Why does it now seem you wish for my departure? If you find me bothersome, I shall take my leave. With that, I summoned my best acting skills from my past life, shedding 2 tears. Who cannot act? The melodramatic performances I witnessed in my previous life were not in vain. Upon hearing this, the expressions of Lu Chengxiang and the others shifted dramatically. Liu Yanjiao panicked, about to speak, only to be interrupted by Lu Furen. Liu Dai, You may gallivant about and lack any skill, but how can you be so misguided? Jiao Er merely wishes for you to reunite with your parents. How can you speak of her in such a manner? I widened my eyes once more, sensing for the first time that my adoptive mother Lu Furen was not thinking clearly. However, this suited my purposes. Dai Er, even if you are often troublesome, you must not speak ill of your sister today. Jiao Er has endured hardships living in a farming household since childhood. She is not like you, who has been guided daily, and her thoughtfulness is commendable. You shall live under one roof from now on. You must get along well and never quarrel or bully Jiao Er. I couldn't help but smile, although Lu Yanjiao had not spoken much. Her words were clearly aimed at me. How had I become the one bullying her? Yet, I remained silent, for it was not my place to speak. Lu Furen was now visibly agitated. My lord, Jiao Er speaks the truth. Lu Dai should indeed return to visit her biological parents. Jiao Er has lived as a farmer for 16 years, while Lu Dai has also been in the minister's residence. Jiao Er is dutiful. And now that she is back with us, it is only reasonable for Lu Dai to visit her parents. Lu Chengxiang fell silent. On one hand was the adopted daughter he had raised for 16 years, and on the other was the biological daughter he owed so much to. Reflecting on his adopted daughter's antics and lack of skills, combined with her inappropriate attire, he glanced at his obedient and sensible biological daughter beside Lu Furen. The scales in Lu Chengxiang's heart suddenly tipped. Very well, Dai Er. Pack your belongings. You may return tomorrow to visit. Lu Chengxiang said little more, but I understood that a mere visit meant far more than just a look. I feared that once I went back, the prospect of returning would be bleak. While others might weep and lament at the thought of leaving the minister's residence, I was different. Once Lu Chengxiang had spoken, I immediately agreed, much to everyone's astonishment. The three members of the Lu family exchanged glances. Lu Chengxiang appeared somewhat displeased. How was it that after 16 years of raising a daughter, she seemed so eager to leave the minister's residence? Lu Furen furrowed her brow, sensing something amiss, yet when she looked at Lu Yanjiao, any hint of unease vanished as her heart brimmed with affection for her long-lost biological daughter. Lu Yanjiao shed her previous demeanor of fragility, exclaiming joyfully, "This is wonderful. Father and mother, with me accompanying you, sister, you can rest assured and return well to fulfill your filial duties." I pursed my lips. Look at that. Within just an hour of entering the minister's residence, it was already that family. This true heiress must have longed to escape that rural nest. I could only wonder what my biological parents would think upon discovering this. I hoped they would not be too heartbroken. That night, my younger brother Lu Yanjiao returned from school. Upon learning that his twin sister Lu Yanjiao had returned, he displayed no inclination to celebrate. The minister's residence was sparsely populated. Aside from the 4 members of the Lu family, there was an elderly lady who spent her days in the Buddhist hall, rarely leaving. Without me, it would have seemed like a family reunion. After a long day of traveling from the east side to the west, and from the south to the north of the city, I was famished. As I busily consumed my meal at the dining table, my younger brother Lu Yanjia continuously served me additional dishes. In our focused efforts, me on eating and him on serving, we failed to notice Lu Yanjiao's resentful and envious gaze. In truth, my rapport with Lu Yanjiao was quite normal within the minister's residence. Lu Qingxiang and his wife had previously expressed satisfaction with our sibling interactions. However, the situation was now different. The rightful heiress had returned. Any closeness between Lu Yanjia and me appeared to strike Lu Yanjiao as a personal affront. Lu Furen, fiercely protective of her precious daughter, could not allow anyone to bully her beloved Jiao heir. Lu Yanjiao mastered jealousy, adopting a sorrowful expression that spoke volumes. I truly envy the bond between my sister and brother. Father, mother, if I had grown up alongside my brother, perhaps we would share such a close relationship too? Her delicate and reasonable demeanor evoked sympathy from Lu Furen, while simultaneously kindling her displeasure towards Lu Yanjia and me, particularly towards me, the interloper occupying the place of her true daughter. Yet it was Lu Yanjia who took the initiative to serve me more food and engage me in conversation, despite any dissatisfaction she may harbor towards me. She had no justification to vent her frustration. Yanjia, this is your biological sister, Yanjia. In the future, Jiao will reside in the same household. You must learn to coexist harmoniously with her. Do you understand? Lu Yanjia's expression remained neutral as she replied, I understand, child. She then turned to Lu Yanjiao and, in a subdued tone, uttered a simple, sister, while offering her a piece of food. Lu Yanjiao's demeanor softened instantly, and she shot me a look that seemed to taunt. Did you see that? Ultimately, she is my blood sibling. I felt no inclination to argue. After all, I would be departing the next day, and it was uncertain when I would next encounter Lu Yanjia. At that time, we would be from the Lu and Chu families, and certain matters would need to be clarified. After finishing dinner, everyone returned to their respective courtyards. Lu Yanjia did not return to her own quarters, but chose to accompany me instead. Manage the family shop as I have instructed you. There is no need for excessive involvement. Business has been quite favorable lately, but the matter of reducing the workforce must be addressed. Ensure you handle it delicately. Do not neglect your studies. Although pursuing academic success is not your only path, acquiring knowledge is always beneficial. As for your future, Father surely has plans in place. You need only selectively heed his advice. It is uncertain whether we will meet again. Previously, I could take my time teaching you, but once I am gone, you must rely on yourself. Always leave a margin for flexibility, Lu Yanjiao. Elder sister, are you truly leaving? Lu Yanjia suddenly interrupted, her silence shattered. I lifted my gaze to her. She had returned, and I, too, had to go. Is it not possible for me to stay? Did not father and mother suggest you remain? I looked at her earnestly, then sighed. Jar, you are a wise individual, aside from you. No one wishes for me to stay. Furthermore, you know that departing from the Xiang residence is the wisest choice. Lu Yanjia's lips moved, yet she ultimately refrained from voicing her thoughts. The following morning, I arose early. The maid, Lianhua, had already packed my belongings the previous day. Miss, everything is ready. When shall we depart? Lianhua inquired eagerly, as though I were not leaving the Xiang residence, but embarking on a delightful excursion. You are not coming with me? I replied while fastening the ties of my short coat. Upon hearing this, Lianhua's lips quivered, and tears welled in her eyes. Miss, will you abandon your servant? I responded helplessly. Lianhua, you are a child of the Xiang residence. Since mother did not grant you a contract, you cannot leave. After much coaxing, she reluctantly accepted this reality. My belongings were few, just a small bundle. Having spent 16 years as the legitimate daughter of the Xiang residence, it was impossible that I possessed no assets, yet everything was to be returned to its rightful owner. I reached for the small package, but Lianhua intervened. Miss, I shall see you off. Faced with Lianhua's insistence, I acquiesced. As we passed through the main hall, everyone was present except for Elder Lu. Upon seeing me in women's attire, Lu Yanjiao's eyes flared with jealousy. She had dismissed my awkward appearance in male garb yesterday, yet today, my feminine attire ignited her envy. I was naturally beautiful, renowned in the capital as a delicate flower, or in simpler terms, a pretty face devoid of intellect. This beauty had no connection to the Lu Chancellor and his wife. I believed it was a testament to the strong genes of my biological parents. Lu Yanjia handed me a pouch, saying, Elder sister, take this. It may serve you well in times of need. I smiled and accepted it graciously. Lu Chancellor sighed. Upon your return, stay for a few days, spend quality time with your biological parents. There are provisions in the carriage, which will be sent along with you. Lady Lu, witnessing my departure after having watched me grow up, felt a pang of reluctance. She wished to speak, but Lu Yanjiao, who was clinging to her, interrupted, Sister. This return is an opportunity for you to refine your character. The countryside differs greatly from the city. Many tasks will require your personal effort. Take good care of yourself and do not behave as you did in the Xiang residence, acting recklessly and causing mother concern. Upon hearing Lu Yanjiao's words, Lady Lu's brow furrowed slightly. Jiaoer is correct. Your time in the countryside will be beneficial for your character development. Look at how sensible Jiaoer is. I do not expect you to match her, but at least embody half of her sensibility, and I will be at ease when you return. Hearing Lady Lu mention my future return caused Lu Yanjiao's face to pale. The hour grows late. The village is distant from the city. Sister must set off early. Her words dripped with veiled barbs, and her pretentious demeanor led me to suspect she feared I would usurp her position as a daughter of the Xiang family. Not only I, but even Lianhua rolled her eyes at this. Lu Yanjia, too, disapproved of her behavior. Yet Lady Lu interpreted Lu Yenjiao's remarks as concern for me. Since time is of the essence, you should depart promptly. Do not linger on the journey. I had no objections and replied dutifully, yes. The family, accompanied by Lianhua, saw me off from the residence. The carriage awaited at the entrance. Lianhua, with tearful eyes, helped me into the carriage, and as the curtain fell, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. I sprawled across the carriage, exhausted from the previous day's exertions and the early rising, and soon fell into slumber. When I awoke, the carriage had already entered the village. I was about to meet my biological parents, whom I had never encountered before. Drive the horses to a halt, came the command from the driver. Miss Chu, we have arrived. I let out a scoff before descending from the carriage. 2 drivers had accompanied me, one waiting to assist me down while the other went to retrieve my belongings. In less than a quarter of an hour, both me and my possessions had been unceremoniously deposited outside a dilapidated courtyard. By the time I regained my bearings, the carriage had vanished from sight. I collected myself, bent down to grasp my luggage, and stepped into this unfamiliar place. The courtyard was old but well-maintained, with stone slabs covering the ground. In one corner, small plots had been delineated with stones, planted with seasonal vegetables. On the clothesline hung several women's garments, which I surmised belonged to Lu Yenjiao. The courtyard featured 3 rooms, a main hall, a kitchen, and my own room. Upon noticing cured meats and dried sausages hanging beneath the kitchen eaves, I felt a twinge of surprise. Are you the little miss? A voice called from behind me. I turned to find an elderly woman, seemingly over 50, standing at the entrance of the courtyard. I did not recognize her, but she appeared to know me. Judging by her demeanor, this elderly woman must be Aunt Chu, as described by Lu Yenjiao. According to her account, the Chu family was small in number. Both Chu father and mother were often away, rarely seen throughout the year, leaving only her and Aunt Chu to fend for themselves in a life of poverty. Yet I could not comprehend why she referred to me as Little Miss. If I had indeed been misplaced with Lu Yenjiao and was now returning to my rightful position, I should be calling her Aunt Chu, while she would address me by my name. Little Miss? Is that not a title reserved for the daughters of affluent households? My thoughts whirled, and within moments, I contemplated numerous possibilities, though I masked my emotions. Acknowledging her unexpected excitement, I nodded and called out, Aunt Chu, I have returned. Aunt Chu hurried forward to take the bundle from my hands. After 16 years, you have finally returned. Little Miss, you have endured hardships. Her expression was fervent, her gaze fixed on me as though she could never gaze upon me enough. Upon entering the house and setting down my belongings, Aunt Chu marveled. You resemble her. It is truly uncanny. Curiously, I asked, resemble whom? Aunt Chu replied, you resemble your father. It is as though you were carved from the same mold. Only your eyes are akin to your mother's, both being phoenix eyes. Your mother also has a beauty mark. A sudden jolt coursed through me. I was well aware of my own appearance. Unlike my mother, I bore a striking resemblance to my father. What manner of celestial being must he resemble? Curiosity welled within me. Are my parents not home? I uttered the term instinctively. Aunt Chu recognized this as well, her heart swelling with delight. It seemed that the young lady and the young master were not estranged after all. Your parents, the young lady and the young master, have been away on a journey for a while, but they shall return in just over a month. Then, your family of 7 will truly be reunited. I gasped. 7? I had never heard so much as a whisper of this from Lu Yenjiao. Did she truly remain unaware of the circumstances surrounding the Chu family? Observing my astonishment, Aunt Chu bore no ire, merely smiling as she elucidated the situation of the Chu clan. It turned out that aside from me, my parents had 4 other children, 3 sons and 1 daughter. The eldest brother was an educator, though he resided far from the capital. The second sister was as strong as an ox and had secured a position in the nearby Lingqing prefecture. The third brother had suffered from poor health since childhood, but a traveling physician had taken him in for treatment, and he was now a doctor. The youngest brother, it was said, had always been preoccupied with schemes to earn money, but having made little progress, he had not returned in many years. The eldest brother and sister were fraternal twins, while the third and fourth brothers were also a pair of twins. As for me, I was the youngest in the family. According to Aunt Chu, it was likely due to Lu Yenjiao not being a biological child of the Chu family that she felt a sense of distance from them. Furthermore, a renowned monk had once advised that she should be raised in a farming household to ensure her proper growth and eventual return to her rightful place, which had led my parents to believe that her emotional detachment stemmed from not being raised by them. Yet, no one knew that the monk's true intention was not merely to ensure her well-being, but to facilitate her return to her rightful position. I speculated that perhaps the monk was aware of the child-swapping incident between the two families. This revelation regarding Lu Yanjiao and myself truly astonished me. After my initial surprise, life returned to its tranquil rhythm. The vegetable garden was tended by Aunt Chu, and outside the kitchen, there was a well, providing convenient access to water without the need to compete with the villagers. I had never worried about food and drink, as Aunt Chu always prepared meals punctually. I had been back for several days now, and had yet to see any visitors. Did not the villagers enjoy socializing? Having lived in the minister's residence for 16 years, while I was not bound by its constraints, I was still a noble daughter, and thus had a limited understanding of many matters. After spending a few days in the village, coupled with the subtly revealed information from Aunt Chu, I reached an astounding conclusion. This village, nay rather, this estate, was owned by the Chu family, with the villagers being not only the original inhabitants, but also the tenants of the Chu clan. According to Aunt Chu and the villagers, the territory extended for several hundred miles in all directions, from the wooded mountains to the small stream leading into the village. Even the 100 acres of farmland across the stream belonged to the Chu family. Gazing at the frost-covered wheat sprouts, I fell into contemplation. What did it mean to possess such an estate? The lands of Madame Lu's dowry, along with the private property of the Lu family, did not amount to even 1/5 of this estate's grandeur. Aunt Chu's words hinted that this place was merely a sanctuary for the young lady's well-being, and that the true Chu family resided elsewhere. Could a family with such a vast estate really be considered an ordinary farming household? Did Lu Yanjiao not realize what she had relinquished? I found myself amused. I had inadvertently entered an even grander household upon leaving the minister's residence. As the days meandered by, nearly a month passed, and with the approach of the new year, the weather grew increasingly frigid. However, I was unconcerned, for Aunt Chu ensured I was warm, the heated Kong and charcoal braziers rendering our abode delightfully cozy. She prepared a variety of meals 3 times a day, and I suspected I had gained several pounds. I inquired of Aunt Chu when my parents would return, but she could only speculate. Nevertheless, with the new year approaching, she began to procure festive goods. As she put it, even if the young lady and young master do not return, we must still celebrate the new year, mustn't we? I nodded in agreement. The new year was indeed the most meaningful of festivals. During my time in the minister's residence, I was not without skills. I had accomplished much. Coupled with my experiences from a past life, activities such as cutting paper for window decorations, crafting lanterns, and writing couplets came easily to me. Initially, Aunt Chu had been reluctant to let me assist, but eventually, my creations won her over, and we joyfully began to decorate together. On New Year's Eve, I was assisting Aunt Chu in preparing the reunion dinner. It was just the two of us, and adhering to the principle of waste not, want not, we prepared only enough food to suffice. However, shortly after noon that day, I unexpectedly encountered my long-lost biological parents and siblings. Aunt Chu was overjoyed, incessantly uttering auspicious words. I too felt elated, for the moment I laid eyes on them, I could sense the intimacy that blood ties bring. The warmth of familial affection was a sensation I had never experienced during my 16 years in the minister's residence, and it was utterly enchanting. As Aunt Chu had mentioned, I bore a striking resemblance to my father. The instant I saw him, I was struck by his majestic presence. Tall and upright, with dark hair standing proud, he resembled a jade orchid or a tall tree, graceful and poised. He exuded an air of aloof elegance, a demeanor that seemed to convey a do-not-approach warning. My mother was equally stunning, not the conventional beauty that abounded in the capital. Her every smile and frown radiated elegance and grace, combined with a carefree charm. Her sharp phoenix eyes appeared capable of piercing through all facades, yet the tear mole beneath them tempered their intensity, creating a harmonious balance. Even my siblings were remarkable, each a paragon of excellence. The eldest brother was refined, the second sister spirited, and the third brother exuded tranquility. As for the youngest brother, un nouveau riche, I harbored doubts about his lineage, yet his visage bore a striking resemblance to our mother's. Oh, poor Dai Dai, How could your mother be so unkind? My mother lamented, her eyes glistening. My father, rarely softening his demeanor, simply remarked, "It is good that you have returned." My siblings regarded me with curious glances. We have not seen our little sister since her birth. Even the one who was mistakenly taken, we have only glimpsed once or twice. But I find our little sister quite beautiful, spoke the second sister. She was unlike those who adhered strictly to societal norms, instead exhibiting a refreshing boldness as she playfully ruffled my hair, her palm's roughness a stark contrast to my own delicate upbringing, likely due to her years of labor at the government office. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but was more perplexed. Of course she is beautiful. She resembles our father closely. How could she not be? I had heard that our mother had faced numerous trials to marry him. Oh, the third brother must have misheard. I distinctly recall it was love at first sight for father. I gazed at my siblings in astonishment. They all appeared so graceful, yet they were shockingly gossip-prone. Especially the eldest brother, Chu-jun. How could a scholar possess such a penchant for idle chatter? Neither my father nor mother appeared vexed by their banter. Instead, they smiled and said, "All right, enough standing around. Go help your sister gather her things. This year, we will celebrate together at home." I feigned obedience, allowing them to direct me. It was only when my siblings began loading their belongings onto the carriage that I noticed a multitude of carriages had gathered at the entrance, accompanied by a number of uniformly dressed servants. The leading carriage was particularly resplendent. Not only was it larger, but it was drawn by 4 horses side by side. The ornate carvings on its body were exquisite. The subsequent carriages, though smaller, were equally refined. The village path, already narrow, felt even more constricted with the carriages halted. My father and mother boarded the foremost carriage, while I climbed into the second carriage alongside my second sister, Chu-yen. My brothers took the third carriage. Before long, the carriage came to a halt. "Let us go. We have arrived home," my second sister exclaimed joyfully. I nodded, following her as we descended from the carriage. Upon stepping down, I was taken aback. The estate before me was extraordinarily opulent, with a pair of stone lions, one male, one female, standing sentinel at the foot of the steps. Ascending the steps, for crimson-hued, intricately carved pillars stood majestically, their color mirrored in the grand doors adorned with gilded beast-head knockers. Even the steps themselves were crafted from specially made marble slabs. One word encapsulates it all: opulence. However, what astonished me even more than its lavishness was the plaque positioned above the vermilion doors, renowned throughout the capital. I had heard tales of the estate's master on numerous occasions, the princess of the Long family. It is widely known that the current emperor, in the prime of his years, has dedicated himself to governance, establishing peace across the realm and ensuring the prosperity of his subjects. Yet, this harmonious existence has barely lasted 2 decades. 20 years ago, the world was in turmoil, with smoke rising across the land. At that time, the emperor, still in his youth, ascended the throne, shouldering the weight of the realm. To bolster morale, he ventured to the front lines, even accompanied by the Empress Dowager. Hailing from a family of warriors, the Dowager embodied the spirit of a general, unfazed by the prospect of battle. Alas, the political landscape was unstable, beset by both internal and external threats. In this moment of crisis, it was Sheng Yan, the orphaned heir of the Prince of Freedom, who led the elite troops of the prince's estate, facing 30,000 enemy soldiers with a mere 5,000. With gallant poise, Sheng Yan rode forth, spear in hand, leading the charge into the enemy ranks, rescuing the emperor and the dowager from peril and breaking the siege of the kingdom of Li. With the morale of Li's soldiers soaring, they advanced with triumphant songs, decimating the enemy forces and reclaiming lost territories. Thus, peace was restored and the populace found stability, aiding the sovereign in securing his reign. As the nation began to stabilize, however, the people were left in hardship and the treasury was depleted, prompting Sheng Yan's husband to open the estate's doors, donating clothes and goods, thereby allowing the court a moment to breathe. The dowager was overjoyed, adopting Sheng Yan as her goddaughter. To honor the couple's contributions, the emperor issued an edict, bestowing upon Sheng Yan the title of Princess of National Stabilization, granting her the Long family estate, while maintaining the prince's nobility for inheritance. The emperor had no sisters, and thus the decree was met with widespread skepticism. The title of national stabilization was a profound affirmation of Sheng Yan's achievements and the trust placed in her. Sheng Yan did not disappoint the dowager or the emperor. Alongside her husband, Chu Yuan, they continued their campaigns, eventually doubling the territories of the Kingdom of Li. Later, Sheng Yan relinquished her military command and, alongside Chu Yuan and their frail third son, Chu Liang, sought out skilled physicians, returning to the capital 2 years later to give birth to me. Yet, despite all calculations, fate played a cruel trick as I was mistakenly swapped with Liu Yanjiao for 16 years. The princess of National Stabilization's estate stood prominently in the most bustling area of the capital. Even though Sheng Yan was often absent from the capital, legends of her never ceased. Speak of Sheng Yan, and anyone could regale tales for hours. Beyond her illustrious deeds, it was her and her husband's extraordinary beauty that captivated the hearts of many. Envy and admiration abounded in equal measure. Since childhood, I have harbored a disdain for the confines of the Xiang estate, often wandering the streets and alleys of the capital. I had heard of the illustrious princess, yet never imagined that I would one day be her child. In a daze, I was led through the grand entrance. Aunt Chu was efficiently managing the affairs of the estate. My parents guided me to a courtyard. Dai, this is the courtyard your mother has prepared for you. Starting even before your birth, my mother said. Due to various circumstances, you are only moving in today. Take a look and see if you like it. If not, please tell me, and I will arrange something else. With a face full of regret, Sheng Yan expressed her concern that her actions might displease her youngest daughter. My feelings were complex. I felt no sense of belonging to the Liu family of the Xiang estate. It was not merely because the Prime Minister and his wife were not my biological parents, but also because I did not belong to this era. I could distance myself from the Xiang estate, yet escaping this dynasty felt nearly impossible. The demeanor of my biological mother, Sheng Yan, along with that of my other family members, made me feel that perhaps having a connection in this era was not entirely unwelcome. Suppressing my emotions, I extended my arms and embraced Sheng Yan. Mother has done nothing wrong. You have done wonderfully. I am not upset. I truly like it. As for my preferences, we will have many years together to understand one another, I reassured her. I sensed Sheng Yan stiffen momentarily. Such an intimate gesture was rare, even among children and parents, except for spouses. Undoubtedly, my overture eased the tension that had hung in the air. Chu Yuan gently patted Sheng Yan on the shoulder and said with warmth, "Let Dai settle in. Soon our family will gather for the New Year's Eve dinner." On the eve of the new year, families rejoiced together. Everyone was in high spirits, having indulged in drink. My tolerance for alcohol was decent, yet I found myself slightly tipsy. The flickering candlelight illuminated the faces of all present. In that hazy moment, I seemed to clearly discern a face that had remained elusive in my dreams over the years. It was Sheng Yan, my biological mother, the first person I beheld upon opening my eyes as an infant. A genuine smile spread across my face. How wonderful it was. The aftermath of my indulgence was less than pleasant, my head heavy and foggy. A maid knocked and entered, bringing soup. "Madam," said the fifth miss, "is awake. Drink this soup. It is quite effective for alleviating the discomfort of a hangover." I nodded, took the bowl, and drank it down in one go. Handing the bowl back to the maid, I inquired, "What is your name?" The maid replied, "In response to Miss, my name is Fu Rong, assigned by Madam as your personal maid. There are also 2 first-rank maids, for second-rank maids, and 8 cleaning maids in the courtyard. They will all come to pay their respects once you are up." I mused, Fu Rong, much like a lotus flower. I wonder how that girl, Lian Hua, has fared during this time? Perhaps I should ask Mother to bring her here when the opportunity arises. While contemplating, I had Fu Rong assist me with my dressing and washing. Outside the door, a maid held out garments for me to choose from. I cast a glance, noting the intricate and exquisite designs. After a lengthy selection, I finally settled on a relatively simple outfit. However, when Fu Rong finished dressing me, I realized the attire was anything but understated. The pale yellow short jacket, fastened at the front, was paired with a deep blue pleated skirt. The jacket embroidered with red gold thread in feather motifs, while clusters of begonia flowers blossomed along the hem of the skirt. The collar, cuffs, and edges of the jacket were adorned with fiery red fox fur, exuding an air of opulence. Even the headpiece and jewelry were crafted from blood jade. The bracelet ornaments, and an entire set of headgear were all fashioned from the same piece of blood jade, its pale red hue neither garish nor overly subdued. I contemplated changing into something else, but Fu Rong dissuaded me. What you are wearing is already quite simple. If it were any more modest, it might not be suitable for an audience with His Majesty and Her Majesty the Empress Dowager. I was taken aback, then recalled that my mother was indeed the princess, and it was customary to pay respects during the new year. Had it not been for my presence, they would likely have spent the New Year's vigil in the palace. I acquiesced, rising to prepare to leave. Fu Rong promptly fetched a cloak, draping it over my shoulders. I winced slightly, realizing where the feathers on my garment originated. The vibrant red cloak was intricately embroidered with gold thread, depicting a lifelike phoenix poised to take flight. The phoenix, a symbol of auspiciousness for the kingdom of Li. Being so beautifully represented on the cloak spoke volumes of the Long family estate's grandeur. I marveled at the immense prestige. Once everyone was ready, we departed for the palace together. My parents were also dressed elegantly, though their attire seemed somewhat understated compared to mine. How to put it? Others rely on their clothing. They were adorned by their remarkable beauty. There was no overshadowing, all thanks to their extraordinary looks. The carriage of the Princess of National Stabilization moved smoothly, directly entering the palace gates. The dust raised by the carriage had already spread throughout the capital, echoing the news. The Princess Sheng Yan had returned. The princess's children had also returned. In an instant, the noble families of the capital began preparing a myriad of festivities. If I could establish a familial connection with Sheng Yan, our ancestors would surely awaken with delight. My parents led us directly to the Fusho Palace. On the eve of the new year, all the officials entered the palace to keep vigil. Only on the first day of the new year would everyone gather in the Empress Dowager's Fusho Palace. When we arrived, the palace was already bustling with activity, and we had arrived rather late. My mother had previously informed the palace of my situation, so I felt no discomfort upon meeting the esteemed guests. It was certainly far better than my past experiences of attending banquets within the palace. After spending a day there, as we prepared to depart, the Empress Dowager and the ladies of the harem bestowed upon me a considerable number of gifts. Having entered the palace for 3 consecutive days, the remaining time found the gates of the Grand Princess's residence firmly shut, leaving only our family to reunite within. My mother spoke of the numerous invitations she had recently received, lamenting her indecision regarding which households to visit. The sheer volume was overwhelming. Even a continuous schedule would take over half a month. My 4th brother suggested that instead of visiting each household, we should host our own gathering, inviting everyone who had sent invitations, whether they had come or not. This would not only resolve my mother's dilemma but also provide an opportunity for my elder brother and sister to meet potential suitors, and most importantly, announce my existence. Everyone found this to be a splendid idea and began to contribute suggestions. However, I felt somewhat troubled. I had perused those invitations, and at least half of them were from individuals with whom I shared unresolved conflicts. While I had a few acquaintances among them, they were few in number. My mother, aware of my concerns, waved her hand dismissively, regardless of the Grand Princess's title. As for me, Sheng Yan, I have never feared anyone. You are my daughter, as precious as any princess in the palace. What reason have you to worry about them? My mother speaks wisely. The usually reticent Chu Yuan also chimed in, my daughter. Even those princesses would pale in comparison. Do not fret, Dai Dai. Chu Yan's expression turned icy. Whoever dares to bully you, I shall cast them into the military camp to experience hardship. My elder brother, Chu Jun, frowned. It seems the task has been too simple, allowing them the leisure to bully others. My 3rd brother, Chu Liang, spoke nonchalantly. If there is anyone you dislike, inform me, and I shall silence them with poison. My 4th brother, Chu Qiong, shook his leg, embodying a frivolous demeanor. I shall provide you with gold. You can use it to crush them. I remained silent, realizing that it was your daughters and sisters who were the ones bullying others, not the other way around. Yet, I ultimately refrained from voicing my thoughts, being more curious about the identities of my siblings. My father's status is formidable and enigmatic. Otherwise, he could not have single-handedly upheld the entire court. Through my inquiries, I discovered the pursuits of my siblings. According to Aunt Chu, my elder brother, a teacher, is a disciple of the head of the Qinglian Academy. The Qinglian Academy is the most coveted institution for scholars across the land, producing either eminent scholars or pillars of the court. Those who gain admission are all exceptional individuals, let alone the headmaster's disciples. My second sister, who works in the military, actually enlisted 3 years ago from Linqing Prefecture and has risen from a lowly soldier to the position of deputy general in just 3 years. She has returned to the capital at the emperor's behest. My third brother, once frail in childhood, was taken by my mother to the Divine Physician Valley for treatment. Upon recovery, he became the head disciple of the valley, and 6 months ago, he succeeded the late master as the new head of the Divine Physician Valley. My fourth brother, Merchant, has traversed the land, now serving as the proprietor of the Four Seas Merchant Association. This association not only spans every state in the Li Kingdom but also has branches in neighboring countries. In matters of sustenance and daily needs, if you can conceive it, the Four Seas Merchant Association has a hand in it. They partake in any venture that proves profitable. I felt overwhelmed. My family members were all extraordinary individuals. In other households, even one exceptional person would be remarkable, yet my family boasts a collection of prodigies. The banquet is set for the second day of the Lantern Festival, ostensibly in honor of the fifth young lady, Chu Dai. Everyone is aware that the Grand Princess's estate has a fifth young lady raised in seclusion, yet her name remains unknown. Now that she has returned, it is essential to cultivate connections. The atmosphere at the Xiang residence, however, is less amicable. The Minister Liu and his wife feel a mixture of emotions. Their foster daughter, raised for 16 years, turns out to be the daughter of the Grand Princess's estate. Liu Yanjia is taken aback, realizing that if I reside in the capital, he can see me frequently. As for Liu Yanjiao, she feels as if struck by lightning, fully aware of what she has lost. Liu Yanjiao's resentment grows, questioning why she was unaware of this during her 16 years at the Chu family. Had she not been returned, would she not now be the pampered fifth young lady of the Grand Princess's estate? The Xiang residence cannot possibly compare to the resplendent glory of the Grand Princess's household. Just the thought of having a chance to enter the princess's estate fills her with hope. She resolves to reclaim her rightful position at the banquet. On the day of the banquet, the estate is adorned anew, its doors flung wide open, with Aunt Chu welcoming guests at the entrance. Carriages arriving for the banquet stretch from the alley's mouth to its end, and even with slow progress, no one complains, except for Liu Yanjiao, who wears a visibly impatient expression. After an arduous wait to disembark, Liu Yanjiao excitedly rushes to greet Aunt Chu. Aunt Chu. Yet Aunt Chu responds with a polite distance. Minister Liu, Mrs. Liu, Miss Liu, Master Liu, please enter. Liu Yanjiao's face instantly fell. Disbelief etched across her features as she looked at Aunt Chu. Unfortunately, with others behind her, she could only grit her teeth and proceed inside. I, too, was unaware of the unfolding events at the entrance. Today, I awoke early, having returned late from viewing the lanterns at the palace the previous night. My mother had indicated that I need not show my face in the morning, but rather join for lunch. I nodded. My mother's arrangements were certainly wise. However, before the feast commenced, an uproar erupted outside. I intended to send Furong to investigate, only to be met by Aunt Chu's arrival. What is happening? Aunt Chu's face was tense as she simply stated, the feast is about to begin. The lady is requested to join. I pondered, replying with an acknowledgement. I allowed Furong to drape over me the magnificent vermilion cloak I wore on the first day of the new year before I stepped outside towards the banquet. Today, the Grand Princess's estate is particularly lively, with maids and servants bustling about. Occasionally, I observed a few individuals who were not part of the household moving about. The banquet is set in a small garden within the Grand Princess's estate. Though the festive season has ended, the air remains brisk. To host such a grand banquet, this small garden is the most suitable venue. Inside, flowers bloom vibrantly, radiating warmth. It is said to be a birthday gift from my father to my mother. I did not take the main entrance but rather a side door. The main door is typically closed, and we often use the side entrance for convenience, leading directly to the main area. Just as I was about to step outside, I heard a familiar voice. Long Princess and Kong, this is Jiao Er. You should still remember her, right? It was the voice of my foster mother, Lady Liu. It appeared that Liu Yanjiao did not appreciate her words, promptly interjecting, it has been a year since we last met. Mother, you remain as beautiful as ever. I peered through the gap, witnessing Lu Yanjiao's sycophantic demeanor, Lady Lu's astonishment, and my mother's enigmatic smile. I could surmise their emotions. Lu Yanjiao likely believed that being a lady of the Xiang residence was a privilege, yearning to escape the Chu family, only to discover that the Chu family was a far more sumptuous nest than the Xiang residence, thus turning her attention back to the Chu family. Lady Lu, taken aback by her daughter's sudden transformation into a compliant and sensible young woman, found it hard to believe. Meanwhile, my mother appeared to be growing weary of the duo, as she had thoroughly investigated how I left the Xiang residence. I slightly smiled, lifting the heavy curtain and stepping inside. Mother! I glided gracefully to my mother's side, performing a formal royal salute, a skill acquired during my recent time in the palace with the Empress Dowager. Your daughter pays her respects. My movements were proper, and coupled with my striking appearance and today's elegant attire, my entrance silenced the room. Mother Chu beamed with joy. Quickly rise, Dai. We are family. There is no need for such formalities. I spoke with understanding. The birth of a daughter is significant, and adherence to propriety is paramount. Recently, I have learned many customs from Aunt Lihua. Mother, let us see how well Dai has absorbed them. Upon hearing this, Mother Chu's smile widened. Well learned. Well learned. In just half a month such accomplishments, truly, she is my Xingyan's own daughter. With Mother Chu's joy, my own heart soared, though it was evident that not everyone shared in this happiness. Lu Yanjiao's face turned sour, as if she had swallowed a fly, while Lady Lu appeared awkward and unsure of how to respond. In the mere span of 2 weeks since my return to the Chu family, such a transformation had occurred, yet Lu Yanjiao had spent 16 years here only to emerge as a figure of vain pretensions. The phrase my own daughter had effectively trampled Lu Yanjiao into the mud. What did it matter that she had been raised for 16 years? Was she not still eclipsed by the bond of blood? Just as I had lived in the Lu household for 16 years, upon Lu Yanjiao's return, I was immediately compelled to relinquish my position. Mother Chu gestured for me to sit and then addressed the assembly. I trust you are all familiar with Dai. 16 years ago, there was an unfortunate mix-up where Dai and Miss Lu were swapped, causing Dai to be separated from her rightful place for so long. Today, the pearl has returned to its rightful shell, and I invite you all to reacquaint yourselves with my youngest daughter, the 5th Miss of the Long Princess Mansion, Chu Dai. With a sharp gleam in her phoenix eyes, a commanding gaze pierced through the crowd, and her red lips uttered words that sent shivers down spines. To those who have wronged Dai in the past, I hope such transgressions do not occur again. Otherwise. The implication of Mother Chu's warning was unmistakably clear. The smile upon my lips could scarcely be contained. With such a formidable ally at my back, how could I not feel cherished? Though somewhat unreasonable, I relished this audacity. There were those who bristled with indignation. Yet what could they do? I caught sight of a few green-faced adversaries within the crowd, and my heart swelled with satisfaction. While I could certainly confront them, doing so would only invite their disdain and the burden of mockery. Thanks to Mother Chu's admonition, the banquet proceeded with relative ease. As Lu Yanjiao was led away by Lady Lu, I cast a fleeting glance at their retreating figures. Meanwhile, Lu Yanjiao gazed at me with an expression of longing. Pitifully so. I still held affection for this brother, and thus exchanged a few words with him. The banquet at the Long Princess Mansion concluded, and Mother Chu received several invitations from various families, though they were merely from her acquaintances. Not many, so Mother accompanied us to several more feasts in quick succession. My siblings were well acquainted with these elder relatives, and so was I, but my connections were limited to those in the company of Chancellor Lu. The aunts, uncles, and cousins from various households recognized me, yet this time the interactions felt distinct. Your brothers and sisters are quite busy. Shall Dai accompany our parents today? I nodded. For the past couple of months, I had been playing the role of the dutiful daughter. Mother Chu delighted in this, and I found joy in being so unconditionally pampered. Today, we were to visit the residence of the Duke of Luoyang, which, aside from the palace, seemed to hold the closest ties with a Long Princess Mansion. According to my elder brother, the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Luoyang, Shen Qingqing, is a close friend of Mother Chu, and their families share a bond that extends beyond mere friendship. Before my grandfather, the carefree king, passed away, the two women had met through an unexpected encounter. After his death, upon seeing Mother Chu alone, Shen Qingqing frequently invited her back to the Duke of Luoyang's estate. The old matriarch of the Duke's family also held Mother Chu in high regard. Thus, before marrying Father Chu, Mother spent a considerable amount of time residing with Shen Qingqing at the Duke's estate. Later, when Mother married Father Chu and ventured into the world of battle and childbirth, the two families gradually drifted apart. Nevertheless, each year upon her return, Mother would send an invitation to visit. Dai has grown up in the capital, surely. You are familiar with the circumstances of the Duke of Luoyang? I nodded. What are your thoughts on Aunt Qingqing? I could sense Mother Chu's apprehension, and I understood. In my eyes, Shen Qingqing's experiences were commonplace, yet in this era, they appeared somewhat unconventional. I believed Aunt Qingqing to be a woman of courage, unafraid to love or hate. Mother Chu looked surprised. Do you truly think so? I nodded firmly. Societal norms have always been unfair to women. Yet customs are rigid while we are alive and adaptable. A woman is a person too. Must she forsake herself for the sake of societal perception? I believe a woman occupies many roles in life. First, she must be true to herself, then to her parents, children, and spouse. If one forgets oneself, how can one fulfill the roles of parent, child, or spouse? Exchanging astonished glances, my parents were deeply moved. The notion that one must prioritize oneself was indeed a novel perspective. Yet, their realization rang true. If one relinquished their own identity, it would be a sorrowful fate. In truth, Shen Qingqing's experiences were merely a reflection of the domestic violence, infidelity, and betrayal that I had witnessed in my past life. She had confronted a man who had wronged her and, in turn, had sought justice for herself. In a previous life, she would have been viewed as a victim, and despite her actions being deemed unlawful, public sentiment would have favored her. However, in this feudal era, she was labeled as jealous, malicious, and tyrannical, a woman unworthy of divorce. Had my parents forgotten that Aunt Qingqing hailed from the Duke of Luoyang, a noble family, while the man she married was merely a fortune seeker, climbing the social ladder on the coattails of her family's name? Why should the Duke's household fear him? It was he who had acted unkindly first. It was not Aunt Qingqing's fault for seeking retribution. According to my reasoning, was she not merely adhering to societal customs? If she could do so, then why not her? Her former husband had wooed her with sweet words, only to turn to violence once he had won her over. He was the one who betrayed her first. Given her status and the Duke of Luoyang's reputation, it would not have been excessive for her to eliminate him entirely. The fact that she had shown him mercy was already a sign of nostalgia for their past. They had sought to suppress Aunt Qingqing with their slander. We could do the same. My parents were left speechless, and finally, Mother Chu managed to utter, Dai, what on earth did you learn in the Liu household? I offered an awkward smile, brushing off the inquiry. The Liu family could not possibly have taught me such insights. The Duke of Luoyang was a venerable family with deep roots. The head of the family was Shen Qingqing's brother, Shen Jinqing, with whom she shared a close bond. Upon our arrival, we found that several other noble families were also present, including the Liu family. I had heard whispers that Shen Qingqing was no ordinary woman. What do you mean? Liu Yanjiao asked, her tone laced with curiosity. Miss Liu, are you not aware? Liu Yanjiao felt somewhat embarrassed. But soon someone came to her aid, one of my fiercest rivals, Li Jiai. If you don't understand, let me explain it again. Li Jiai proceeded to recount the gossip surrounding Shen Qingqing from the very beginning. If only she had stuck to the facts. But Li Jiai had a talent for embellishing tales. As she spoke, she belittled Shen Qingqing, weaving together words that were indeed unpalatable. Initially, the first to speak was the illegitimate daughter of the Prince of Qi, Li Yun, the only daughter of the prince. Although she was born of lesser status, she was quite favored, and among these young ladies, she was the youngest yet held the highest standing. Li Yun could no longer bear the slander and interjected a few rebukes. Liu Yanjiao, feeling slighted, thought that Li Yun looked down upon her. What mistake did Jiai make? Can we not speak of her actions? If you wish for secrets to remain hidden, you must not engage in wrongdoing. Women should adhere to their principles. If everyone emulated such rebellious behavior, would the world not descend into chaos? Li Yun was taken aback. That is not what I meant. Do not misunderstand. I had listened for quite some time, realizing it was merely a squabbles among young girls, and found it rather tedious. Just as I was about to leave, I turned and spotted the subject of the gossip, Shen Qingqing. When had she arrived? Had she overheard everything? With a pale face, Shen Qingqing managed a strained smile, which was hardly pleasant. I heard from your mother that you were here, so I came to find you. My mother wishes to meet you. So, she had come looking for me. I cautiously inquired, Aunt Qingqing you? Shen Qingqing's countenance darkened noticeably, and I understood the underlying emotions. Grasping her hand firmly, I strode directly towards Lu Yanjiao and her companions. Pointing at them, I declared, apologized to Aunt Qingqing. Lu Yanjiao and her friends displayed expressions of panic, taken aback by being caught in their gossip. Li Jiai, recalling her own words, turned pale. If word got out, her reputation would likely be ruined.
Li Yun, reacting swiftly,
bowed deeply to Shen Qingqing and sincerely offered her apologies. I nodded inwardly. This girl exhibited a commendable attitude, though she was quick-tongued and unable to conceal her thoughts, a trait she could amend. Aunt Qingqing? Shen Qingqing's expression remained grim, yet she nodded slightly and said, "The banquet has commenced. Let us proceed." Li Yun promptly turned to leave. Li Jiai was lost in her own world, while Lu Yanjiao glared at me with indignation. "You are truly embarrassing," I retorted mercilessly. However, it was fortunate that the embarrassment fell upon the Lu family and not the Chu family. I wondered if Lord Lu and Lady Lu would regret bringing her back upon learning of her behavior. Lu Yanjiao could not withstand my words, yet still attempted to play her little games. "Lord Lu? Lady Lu? Those are the family that raised you for 16 years. Have you forgotten them so quickly?" I cast a glance in her direction and replied, "Who can forget their adoptive parents more swiftly than you, Lu Yanjiao? Within less than an hour of the Lu family confirming your identity, you were already standing in the residence with your bags, ready to confront me. When you yearned for the identity of a noble daughter, did you remember the Chu family that provided for you?" A flicker of embarrassment crossed Lu Yanjiao's face. "I had initially thought you feared hardship and felt pity for you not growing up in your biological mother's presence. Thus, I did not oppose your departure from the residence, thinking that in my absence, they would surely make amends for their neglect, and you would reunite as a family. I hoped you would learn propriety and etiquette, compensating for the 16 years you had missed, as you remained a distinguished daughter of the residence. Little did I know, less than 2 months after your return, you had not learned much else but the art of gossiping about others. The residence is simple, and no one would instruct you in such matters. If it were not for your association with dubious characters, it must be a trait inherent to your nature." In mentioning dubious characters, I cast a glance at Li Jiai. Li Jiai, regaining her senses and recalling past grievances, immediately accused me. "Jiao Jiao is also a daughter raised by the princess's residence for 16 years. Even if she is not a biological daughter, do not be too excessive." Li Jiai's words emboldened Lu Yanjiao. "Though I am an adopted daughter, I am still a daughter of the princess's residence. Look at her prideful demeanor, reminiscent of the day she returned to the residence." A thought crossed my mind, and I asked, "You do not wish to return to the princess's residence, do you? Why not?" I looked at Lu Yanjiao with a hint of difficulty, then glanced at her parents behind her. "I cannot decide that. You might as well inquire with my parents and yours." Lu Yanjiao stiffened momentarily, turning her head to see Mr. and Mrs. Chu, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Lu. She opened her mouth but found no words, her expression betraying her panic. Mr. and Mrs. Chu did not even spare her a glance as they walked directly towards me and Aunt Qingqing. Seeing this, a flicker of indignation flashed in Lu Yanjiao's eyes. "What is happening?" Lady Chu inquired. I recounted the entire sequence of events, which incensed Lady Chu. With a sharp slap, she struck Lu Yanjiao across the face. Lu Yanjiao covered her bruised cheek, staring at her in disbelief. "You hit me?" Lady Chu disdainfully wiped her hands. "Today, I declare this, Miss Lu. Listen carefully. First, you abandoned the Chu family. They raised you for 16 years and owe you nothing. Second, upon returning to the residence, you could not tolerate Dai Dai and drove her out. As for the Lu family's kindness, my husband and I naturally remember it, but that does not justify your disrespect towards Dai Dai. Third, Qingqing is my sister. The Luyang Marquis residence was my second home in my youth and remains so to this day. The Luyang Marquis residence is a first-class marquisate, and it cannot be subjected to wanton gossip." After stating these points, Lady Chu lifted her phoenix-like eyes to the increasingly curious crowd. As you are all so eager to speculate about Qingqing and Yangsheng, I shall lay down the facts today. First, Qingqing intended to marry. Yet Yangsheng could not provide a bride price and agreed to become a son-in-law through a mere contract. Young and naive, Qingqing was deceived by Yangsheng into leaving the residence and establishing her own household. Even so, he is still a son-in-law of the Liu Yang Marquis residence.
This is a contract.
Lady Chu produced the contract. Second, according to our laws, a son-in-law has no right to take concubines or keep mistresses. If discovered by the legitimate wife, the man is to be castrated and the woman executed. Thus, the fate of Yangsheng and that wretched woman is both reasonable and lawful. Third, after their marriage, Yangsheng treated Qingqing with disdain, belittling her with words and even resorting to physical abuse. How dare he, a mere son-in-law, lay hands on the legitimate daughter of the Liu Yang Marquis residence? Even killing him would not be excessive. Yet Qingqing, being kind-hearted, chose only to divorce him, sparing his life. She has shown great mercy. Now, are you all satisfied? I scoffed, ruthlessly kicking Li Jiayi. Everyone understands the principle of keeping family matters private, yet it seems that as long as it is not one's own family affair, one can freely spread rumors, correct? What benefit does this bring to the parties involved or to those who gossip? Aunt Qingqing possesses a resilient character. Had she been an ordinary woman, she might not have survived this ordeal. Do you find it amusing to push someone to the brink, Li Jiayi? Remember, a kind word is worth 3 winters of warmth, while harsh words can freeze a person in June. Each of your actions and words impacts the rise and fall of your family. If you disregard the lives of others, including the Li family, you may as well dismiss my words as mere wind. I spared no effort in condemning Li Jiayi, effectively placing the Li family over the flames. The one who stands out often becomes the target. After today's events, both the Liu Yang Marquis residence and the princess's residence would not hold back in retaliating against the Li family. Li Jiayi serves as a warning to the world. Even if the Li family bears resentment, they cannot act against this. As for Liu Yanjiao, I trust that with Lord Liu and Liu Yanjiao present, and despite Lady Liu's affection for her, they will not allow the daughter of the Liu family to stray. Furthermore, there is an elderly matriarch residing in the Buddhist hall. The Liu family will need to maintain a low profile for some time. Life at the princess's residence is pleasant and passes swiftly. Time flies, and autumn is nearly upon us. The relationship between the Liu family and me remains relatively good, thanks to Liu Yanjia. Every month, she visits to seek guidance on various matters, both academic and business-related. As time went on, Lady Chu also came to realize that not all children from the Liu family are like Liu Yanjiao. With Liu Yanjiao's frequent visits, my own affairs gradually came to light. Is Tianxiang Pavilion truly yours? Fourth brother Chu Qiong looked at me with skepticism. Tianxiang Pavilion is renowned for its fragrances, offering a variety of perfumes, ointments, and sachets. Its branches are spread throughout the entire Li Kingdom. The Fourth Brothers Sihai Trading Company had once sought to acquire Tianxiang Pavilion, but the elusive owner had thwarted their attempts. In truth, I have involvement in various industries beyond Tianxiang Pavilion. While I may not rival the Sihai Trading Company, I should not be underestimated. Initially, I aimed to earn a modest sum to sustain myself after leaving the residence, but upon returning to the Chu family, I found a sense of belonging. Fourth brother, do you desire Tianxiang Pavilion? Chu Qiong scratched his head. I used to want it, but now that I know you are the owner, I no longer do. After all, we are family. I smiled and slid a stack of papers across the table toward Chu Qiong. This represents half of the profits from all my enterprises. I am now applying to join your trading company. What do you think? Chu Qiong was taken aback. All for me? No, wait. Shouldn't I be the one giving you benefits? I grinned slyly. Of course, managing the business will be entrusted to you in the future. And what about you?
Chu Qiong inquired, so may what be we?
I reclined in the vine-woven hammock fashioned by my father, squinting my eyes, reminiscent of my mother's phoenix-like gaze, shielding myself from the scorching sunlight. And as for me, I was to play the role of a mere third wheel. Outside the city of Lingqing, I slung my bundle over my shoulder, clambering onto the exclusive carriage of my parents. My elder sister, donned in the armor of a general, a sword at her waist, stood behind me with an expression of utter exasperation. On the yoke, my mother cast a hesitant glance in my direction before turning to my father. Yuan go. Why not take Dai along? My father's countenance was as chilling as a winter's night, enough to frighten anyone else into tears. But who am I?
Iyang ko Dai.
I am unafraid of him. Before his daughter, he is but a paper tiger. Take me with you. I can sing and dance, perform for you both, and I am adept at cooking and laundry. I am a jack of all trades. Bringing me along is no loss. After residing in the princess's residence for a year, my parents were once again set to embark on their journey around the world. Such a splendid opportunity to escape the confines of the capital and explore the wonders of the world. How could I possibly let it slip away? My father wished to leave me behind, wanting to savor a world of two with my mother. Little did they know how stubborn I could be. Did they believe I would remain oblivious to their clandestine departure? I pouted at my elder sister, charmingly persuading her to commandeer a warhorse from the army and hastily pursue our parents through the night. Thus, this scene unfolded. I scrambled up the yoke, attempting to coax my father, but he had become impervious to my charms. Hence, I shifted my target and my approach. Dear father, I have been away from you for 16 years, and now that I have returned for merely a year, do you truly wish to abandon your daughter? I wailed, tears streaming down my face, my sorrow resembling that of a blooming pear flower in the rain. My mother had always felt indebted to me for this very reason, and I had her wrapped around my finger. Seeing me in such a pitiable state, she was utterly distressed. With no hesitation, she conceded to take me along. From a vantage point where my mother could not see, I shot a provocative glance at my father. The look in his eyes could have slain me. In the next moment, with a sardonic smile masking his true feelings, my father stated, "Very well, we shall take you back to the Chu family. You have yet to return there at your age." My heart sank. This was not a good sign. But before I could react, my father struck me down, whisking me away to the carriage behind. At that moment, no one dared to contradict my father, not even my mother, who could only fall silent. The carriage set forth, bathed in the glow of the rising sun. And thus, my new life, akin to the dawn just breaking, was only just beginning. A rebirth, radiant and brimming with vitality. The end of the tale. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next story together.